for months now, years now. So Harilala Das Prabhu is disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He has served the Houston ISKCON temple since 1988. He is currently retired and spends his time in Krishna consciousness. He conducts several virtual classes a week teaching Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam to adults as well as kids. As far as Prabhuji's education, he has started with Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Sardar Patel University, and then he completed his Master of Science in Structural Engineering from George Washington University in Washington, D.C., 1976. Prabhuji has also completed Bhakti Sadachar, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaidbhav degrees. Prabhuji is a lecturer of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, conducts so many sessions each week. He has been a Sanskrit teacher for ISKCON of Houston for last 8 to 10 years. He also conducts 1-year Pad Padma study group, and he is also part of the Oriental Institute of Higher Education that His Holiness Hanuman Parikshit Maharaj runs. So we would like to welcome Prabhuji, and we are so eager to hear from you, Prabhuji. Welcome to the Foundation, and we are totally blessed today to hear from you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Manharini Mataji. So with this, I will welcome and thank everyone who has joined this call today. Those who are inquisitive know about Bhagavad Gita. So today we're going to discuss from chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. But before that, I would like to recite Mangalacharan prayers to invoke the auspiciousness and get the blessings from our Hari Guru Vaishnava. So those who can chant, they can chant also with me. Om Ajnana Timirandasya
Salakaya
Tasmai Shri Guru
Namaha
Shri
Chaitanya Manobhistam
Apitam
Yena Bhutale
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Advitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Dalita Sri Visakhanvitanscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu
Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Radha Namostute
Taptakan
Gaurangi
Radhe
Vrindavaneshwari Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye
Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Mandamater Gatihi Mat Sarvasva Padambojo Radha Madan Mohan Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnagar Sinhasanausta Srimad Radha Shala Govinda Devo Prestali Visevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasras Arambi Amsivata Tatasthitaha Karsana Venu Swanergopi Gopinatha Sriyestunaha Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Pasindhubhya eva cha
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya
Bhutale
Srimate
Bhakti Vedanta
Swami
Swami Namine
Namaste
Saraswati Devi
Gauravani Pracharini
Gaurani
Nirvisesha
Nirvisesha Sunyavadi
Paschatya Devi
Paschatya Tarine
Jai Sri Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Nanda
Sri Advaita Gadadhar
Gadadhara
Srivasadi
Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare Rama
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 Rama Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you again to all the assembled devotees here on this Zoom platform for Bhagavad Gita class. Today's our subject is from Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 entitled Transcendental Knowledge, text 16 to 24. So what is transcendental knowledge? Transcendental knowledge is a spiritual knowledge about soul, God, relationship with God. So we need to know who we are, who God is, and what is our relationship with God. So this type of knowledge is purifying and liberating. So one may ask, how do we get this kind of knowledge? So the only way you can get this knowledge is by selfless devotional service. So selfless devotional service means without any motivation. So the section that we're going to study today from 16 to 24, which we will understand the karma on the platform of Gyan. Okay. So acting in pure devotional service is akarma, which means free from reactions. So basically this text 16 is going to tell us about karma tattva, which is very important for a practicing devotee to know the what kind of karmas are there. There are classification of karma, and then there is a reaction for that karma. So how that works, that we're going to discuss today. So we'll begin from text 16. So somebody would be able to read translation for me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so let me share the screen so that way everybody can see. 1 second. I get there. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is the verse we are beginning from today. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayo api atra mohitaha tatya karma pravakshami yadhyatva mokshase asubhat. Who can read the translation?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Chandra.
Okay.
Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide
No, the
devotees.
translation first.
Okay, sorry. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is the action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Sorry, Prabhuji.
Very good. Not a problem. Okay. So here, Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna that I'm going to explain to you what action is. And the result of that is that you will get liberated from your misfortune. So here the terms used are action and inaction. So we'll know in the next verse the definition of that thing. But it is mentioned here in the purport. It is very small purport. If somebody would like to read the purport, then I can explain it to. Anybody volunteering read the purport?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can read. Okay. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the next text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in a line of disciplic succession as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ishwaku, and the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu saksat Bhagavad Pranitam. Bhagavad 6.3.19. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapilas, Prahlada, Bhishma, Sukadeva, Goswami, Yamraja, Janaka, and Bali Maharaja. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here Prabhupada stresses the point, action means karma. Any activity that we do in Krishna consciousness has to be executed according to the examples of previous bona fide devotees, which is giving us the importance of knowledge coming from disciplic succession, from bona fide sampradayas. So most of you know probably there are 4 bona fide sampradayas, one coming from Lord Brahma, then Lakshmi, then 4 Kumaras, and Rudra, Lord Shiva. So from Lord Brahma, Mother Gaudiya Sampradaya, in which ISKCON operates, but there are 3 Sampradaya, which is Ramanujacharya, Acharya, and the main Acharya from Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya is Madhvacharya, and then there is a Nimbarkacharya and Rudra Sampradaya, and also, Nimbarkacharya, and then on a Rudra Sampradaya. So later on, it became like Vallabhacharya. And these 4 sampradayas are bona fide sampradayas. So we have to be hearing from all these bona fide sampradayas. And not only the bona fide sampradayas, the other requirement is that they must be a pure devotee of Krishna. And like Mahajan, it is described in the 2nd paragraph here. There is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam where it says that Swayambhu, Narado, it says that Swayambhu, Narado, Sambhu, Kapilo, Kumaro, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlado, Janako, Bhismo, Balir Vaya, Sakir Vayam. So those names are Prabhupada has written here, Brahma, Shiv, Narad. They are the 12 Mahajanas described in Srimad Bhagavatam also. And one has to follow them in order to do the action in Krishna consciousness. Now, karma means work. We have to work in such a way that we may not be entangled with material body. So there is an art It is an art of activity that also Lord Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, 55 verse, where it says, last verse of chapter 11, where he says that mat karma krut parmo madabhakta sangvarjitaha. So he's saying that, my dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contamination of fruitive activity and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So he's giving his direction. Now, what karma that he's telling? So that is his order, his instruction. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita give different instructions, which can be classified as confidential instruction, more confidential instruction, and most confidential instruction. So like Guhya, Guhyatar, Guhyatamam, like that, in a superlative manner, he gives the instruction. The last instruction that he gives in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, is he says, Sarva Dharman Paritajya Mamekam Saranam Raja. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moks Ishyami Ma Suchaha. So he says that, my dear Arjun, so far I have explained you everything in Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Astanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, so many activities and so many instructions I have given you. But here is my final instruction, that you give it up, all this dharma, and then surrender unto me. The surrendering process is very important. Once you surrender to me, then I will take care of all your reactions of your activities that you have done, and your sinful activities will be nullified. So Lord Krishna promises that, he says, Ma Sucha, meaning thereby do not worry. So there is a promise from Krishna. So those are the activities that one has to perform. Not only that, in 18th chapter, he also indicates what other type of activity that one can do. Because when one preaches Krishna consciousness, then he likes, the Lord likes it when somebody glorifies or preaching his messages. Because he mentioned, there is a verse in 18th chapter where it says, Yam ida paramam guhyam mad bhaktesu abhidashyati bhakti mayi param krutva mamevasi sansayah. What he says that, for one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. So these kind of activities that Krishna is referring to Arjuna, and he says as that is the mission of human life. So one has to do what Krishna desires, and that is called karma. Okay? Just like Arjuna, he forgot. I mean, you can see he fought the fight because it was Krishna's desire. So at present, we can understand the instructions of Gita, and then we can act accordingly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his mission, he was appeared more than 500 years, like 539, 540 years ago, where he also says the same instruction in different ways. He says that Yare Dekha, Tare Kaha, Krishna Upadesa, Amare Agya, Guru Haina, Tarai Desa. So any work that is sanctioned by Krishna, it has no reaction. So that is karma, and that is also called a karma which does not bear any reaction to it. Means the activities performed for Krishna will not bear a reaction to it, but it will help us to advance in our spiritual life. So that is what is mentioned here. Another point Prabhupada mentioned in the purport is regarding the dharma to Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. In Canto 6, in the episode of Ajamil, they're explained by Yamraja that no one manufacture a religious principle. It has to be sanctioned, or it has to be given by Lord himself. And that is the thing, the phrase used here, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Not like man-made manufacture. Man manufacture the laws that are not the religious, because many religious or some faith we find which is concocted by human being, and that is not sanctioned here by the Lord. So this now we'll go to the next verse. So next verse is where we will see karmano hi api bodhavyam cha vikarmanah akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. So here Lord will try to explain about the intricacies of the action. Can somebody read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Yes. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is.
Very good. Thank you. So here we know three terms are introduced: action, forbidden action, and inaction. Okay. So again, it's a small purport. See if you can read it, everybody can grasp it, and then I will explain it to you. Who wants to read the purport?
I will read the purport.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted action, because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationships with the Supreme. That is, one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant action are vikarmas, or prohibited actions. To understand all these, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent person will be bewildered. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. So here we can see the Prabhupada has really self-explanatory purport is there. I'll tell a few things, and then if you have any questions, you can also raise your hand at the end. Just note down your questions. So here action as Krishna desires, as prescribed duty. Now prescribed duty vary according to your Varna and ashram system also. Which Varna you belong to, which ashram you belong to, according to that, there will be a prescribed duty. So according to Shastric injunction, one has to follow that Varnashram system also according to that. Because Lord says in Bhagavad Gita that Chaturvarna Maya Srustam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. It is created by him. Why? The four social order and four spiritual order. As you know, the four social orders are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And four spiritual orders are Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanprastha, and Sannyasi. Okay. So each one has their own duty. And Prabhupada sometimes says that in his purport, Varnashram system is just kind of a stepping stone for a people who want to advance in spiritual life. So how is that so? Because Varnashram system keeps the society in a proper perspective, because if you find even by nature, or Prabhupada has given some another title to this Varnasam system. For example, he has said Brahman being an intelligent class. Okay, so we find intelligent class in the society. Then Kshatriya, which is kind of a protective or administrative class. And we can also find in the society there are some people who are good at administrating, good for protection of the country, people, village, town, whatever you can say. So Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Vaishyas are defined as mercantile people or farmers. You know, they do their activity and they maintain all other three ashramas. And then Sudra, Prabhupada called it as like a laborer class. So we find all those classes in the society if you try to analyze these things. Intelligent class is there, administrative class is there, and the productive class is there, mercantile class, who produces goods and grains and so many things. You know, all industrialists, all these things fall into that category. And the laborer class is also there. So one has to follow, that is the action with prescribed duty. And then inaction is, there is no reaction to it. That is called inaction. And then to understand this, you must know what is your position. Okay, so what is our position? That is also given by Lord Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's chapter 15. There is a text 7. There is a Mamai Vanso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So we are part and parcel of Lord Krishna. Okay, so what is our duty then? If we are part and parcel of Lord Krishna, then once we know, also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says also that Jivire Swarup Hai Nitya Krishna Das. So our position is that we are servant of Krishna, his master. So it is obvious that what is the duty of a servant, right? To serve the master. So that is also very clear. So if we are part and parcel of the Supreme, then our duty is, for example, finger is our part of our body, right? So what is the finger's duty? Finger duty is whenever the mind orders, because mind is the controller of all the senses. So, but in a disease condition, finger may not operate. Similarly, we as a conditioned soul in this material world, also this is our disease condition. The conditioned life of human being, the living being,
Hare Krishna. So we can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra if you want to chant for some time. Anyone wants to volunteer?
Sure, I can do.
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Mataji.
आगे प्रभु जी हरे कृष्णा
Hare
Hare
Krishna Amit
Krishna.
Prabhu. Can you make a co-host for Harila Prabhuji?
Sorry.
Amit Prabhu, can you make a co-host of Amit Prabhu for Harila
Sure,
Prabhu?
Mataji. Sure. Yeah, Prabhuji. You are co-host now.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was kind of my computer given up on me. Okay, so we're discussing here about that we need to, as a part and partial, we need to follow Krishna's instruction. So the conclusion is that if we simply engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness, then everything becomes clear. So we have to select our work, karma, very cautiously. Otherwise, the stringent laws of nature will react and we shall be bound by the laws of material nature and suffer. So laws of material nature is also Lord Krishna defines in the Bhagavad Gita, Daivi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya. This material energy, this Maya, is difficult to cross over. So, but one who surrenders to me, it will be easy to get over with the effect of or influence of the Maya. So, according to karma, whatever happiness or negative is due to us, So we know is a theory of karma, or you can say that the principle of karma is like that. Whatever action you do, there is a reaction. And the best example for that the Acharya gives is that any happiness or distress is due to us, definitely follows the soul. How that follows the soul is a very nice example is given, that vatso gacchati matram tatha yacha krutam karma kartaram anugacchati yatha dhenu sahasresu. Dhenu means cow. So if you see, there are thousands of cows, but the calf will only find his mother, even though there are 1,000 cows. So similarly, that is how the reaction of action is. So to the soul, so that you can judge from that thing that it is bound to be. Any action you do, reaction will be there. But the definition of akarma is like that one do the Krishna conscious activity. If they do work for Krishna, then there is no action. In other words, action done for our sense gratification will bear the result, okay, of inaction. Now it may be good or bad. So good karma will take you to heavenly planet, and bad karma will take you to the hellish planet normally. But if you do the spiritual activity, you will go to spiritual planet. So there is a different destination for different kind of activity. So here, nice example is given that just like how the midst of thousands of cows, a calf finds his mother accurately. Similarly, the reaction of the past action will hit the doer. Doer means we living entity, without fail. There is an example of Dhritarashtra. That Dhritarashtra lost his 100 sons. So anybody knows what what is his past karma, that he has to lose 100 sons in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. If anybody knows it? He burnt a tree with 100 birds. So that was his action. And as a reaction, what he got, we know from the Mahabharata story. Okay. So we'll go to the next one now. Text 18, which says, okay. Karmaniya karmaya pasyed akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manusyesu sayuktah krishna karma krut. Translation, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I read that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, can you? One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sort of activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this text 18 is actually explains one who is intelligent and who is in transcendental position. So a little complex, but it will get clear once we know. Let's read the purport. It's a very small paragraph, but Prabhupada has really explained it very nicely. So if you can hear, whenever who can read and hear attentively, yes, go ahead, Prabhupada.
A person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna, therefore he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society, even though he is engaged in all sorts of activities for Krishna. Akarma means without reaction to work. The the impersonalist seizes fruitive activities out of fear, so that the resultant action may not be a stumbling block on the path of self-realization. But the personalist knows rightly his position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Because everything is done for Krishna, he enjoys only transcendental happiness in the discharge of this service. Those who are engaged in this process are known to be without desire for personal sense gratification. The sense of eternal servitorship to Krishna makes one immune to all sorts of reactionary elements of work.
Very good. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we know that reaction means either you enjoy or suffer, right? Depending on the activity you do. Say if you work for the government, right, military, then they order you to fight. So you are killing, right, someone, but it will not bear the reaction. Just similarly here in the Bhagavad Gita also, or Mahabharata, you can say that Arjun and Yudhishthir, both are fighting. Okay, but Arjun will not get the reaction because he is following the instructions of the Lord, while Yudhishthir is not. So similarly, here also, one who kills on his own accord to satisfy their own senses or for their own motivation, they will get the result. So, but inaction, which is called akarma, in that sense that it is not producing any reaction. The activities which are not producing reaction, that is inaction. And one who sees that I'm acting in this way, there is no reaction, and that is inaction. And one who sees that I'm doing this, but there is reaction, and that is action. So action and reaction. Now, the example I gave you, you can understand from that, but the another example can be given that merely seeing externally, you will not be able to understand the position of a Vaishnava or a pure devotee. Okay, I'll give you one good example that, let's say a boy is flying a kite, okay, and he's reeling the, what happened when he flying kite, a moving reel containing the thread in it, right? But from a distance, you will find that he is moving the reel, okay? But his action is what? Sometimes the kite going up, sometimes down, right? But when you see the reel, that is not the real judgment when you see someone, you know. So there is a moving of the reel, but the action is different. Okay. So in that perspective, similarly, simply by seeing the movement of a person that he is also acting, that is not final judgment. Okay? We have to see what sort of acting he's doing, you know. So that whether is he following the scripture, is he following the spiritual master, following the instructions of the Lord, or is he doing whimsically, you know, that's what it means. So we should understand that in spite of having all these facilities of material life, we are not free from the janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Okay. And because these are the all janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi means, you know, you get a birth, you get a death, you get an old age, you get a disease life also. And then vyadhi is always there. Vyadhi means misery. They are also divided into three main categories. Anybody knows that three categories of the miseries?
आध्यात्मिक, आदिदैविक आणि आदिभौतिक.
Yes, very good. So can you define all of those? What is Adi Bhautik, what is Adi Daivik, and what is Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adhyatmik, right? Three of them.
Right. So adibhautik are the miseries caused by another living entity towards yourself.
Very
It
good.
could be an animal, plant, or human or relation. Adhyatmic, so Adidevik is one that is caused by the demigods, such as, you know, tornadoes, volcanoes, earthquakes, those kind of calamities. Those
Yes.
are caused by Adidevik, which is like the demigods and their power. And Adhyatmic kleshas are the one that is caused by one's own mind, by telling or creating stories that don't exist or just exist on the material platform, but they impede your spiritual progress.
Right. So basically, Adhyatmik is pertaining to body and mind. That is what you're telling me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And Adi Daivik is by natural disasters, and Adi Bhautik is by other living entities. So we are all familiar with that thing. Okay. So this is the Vyadi, means three kinds of miseries. Okay. So let's go to the next verse, text 19. Okay. All right. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjitah nanagni karmanam tam ahu panditam buddhaha. Okay. Here someone can read translation quickly.
One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge.
Very good. So in this, Prabhupada is giving nice point here. Somebody can read the purport.
Okay, I can read.
Go ahead.
Only a person in a full knowledge can understand the activities of a person in Krishna consciousness, because the person in Krishna consciousness is devoid of all kinds of sense gratificatory propensities. It is to be understood that he has burned up the reactions of his work by perfect knowledge of his constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is actually learned who has attained to such perfection of knowledge. Development of this knowledge of eternal servitorship to the Lord is compared to fire. Such a fire, once kindled, can burn up all kinds of reactions to work.
Very good. So basically from this verse and onwards up to 24, the subject of karma is very well explained in detail, sort of. Krishna advises how to invoke Krishna consciousness in our present life. Okay. So it says, Yasya sarve samaramba. What does that means? Means whatever activities you may do it, but kam sankalpa varjita, right? You come to the verse, it says here, Yasya sarve samaramba kam sankalpa varjitaha. Okay, so that is more important point here in the verse, that whatever activities you may do it, but kam sankalpa varjitaha. Don't be carried away by kama. It's fruitive, not in a sense of fruitive activity. So don't do it for satisfaction of your own senses or own desire, So do not change your occupation, but you change your consciousness. Simply changing your consciousness and simply working to please Krishna, you can change the mode of karma or the reaction of this karma. Now, how do you change the consciousness? So it says here, Jnanagni Dagdha Karmanam. And the third line here, where it says, Jnanagni Dagdha Karmanam. So it requires knowledge. Jnanagni. Jnan means knowledge. So what is that knowledge? Now, we know that knowledge is the first inquiry of our Vedic Shastra also. Athato Brahma Jigyasa, right? So that will lead you to that I am eternal, And if I am eternal, then if you know that knowledge, then Lord is also eternal, we are eternal, and then we know that the soul has nothing to do with all these activities. It is all what we do is because of our bodily demand and to satisfy our own senses, So, and that is said by Panditam Buddha, Ahuhu. So that is how Panditam. Pandit means, in our India, we sometimes Brahman is addressed by saying Pandit Ji. Vaisya is like, we say Seth Ji, right? Sudra is like Chaudhary, and Kshatriya like Thakur Sahib. So here Brahmanas are addressed as Pandita, Panditam, like that. So Yasya Sarve Samaramba, acting should begin according to Gun and Karma. So that Gun and Karma, quality and activity. And actually, that is the main thing. Lord Krishna also says in that Chaturvarna Maya Sustam, Guna Karma Vibhakasa. Why it is so? It is not birth, So the society is divided not according to the birth, but according to the quality and the activity that they perform. That is the whole point. So not that everything will be done by everyone. So there is a difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. For going to the bank, for example, the ordinary person, non-devotee may go to bank for his own transaction, but the devotee also go to bank sometime, right? But he's acting for the Krishna, because he's going to do his banking work according to what is required to operate the temple. according to it is Krishna's money, So in that sense, you can see that how you can distinguish the different work and work accordingly. We take the next verse now. Text 20. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya trupto nirasrayah karmani abhi pravrutopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, go ahead.
Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings.
Very good. Anybody would like to read that purport?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness when one is doing everything for Krishna. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. He's not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of the good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without fruitive reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness is binding upon the worker, and that is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained here and before. Hare Krishna.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Thank you. So what it tells you here, one has to transcend both. Okay, from the good result or a bad result. Now, how it can be done? Okay. So, let's say if you are working for a big firm and making $1 million, you should know that this profit goes to proprietor and not you, right? Similarly, so if you consider that, then you don't have attachment, and if there is a loss, you don't lament for also, right? So if we work on account of Krishna, we shall be able to give up the attachment for the result of work. Tyaktva karma, that is what is said here. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya trupto nirasrayah. So this gives the indication, nirasrayah means not under obligation of any good or bad result. Tyaktva karma phala sangam, giving attachment for the fruits of action. Actually, this is very difficult, So, one verse in Bhagavad Gita explains that about the Sura and Asura. So, Asura are engaged for fruitive result, right? They are working, but they are expecting that I shall enjoy the result, right? There are the nature of Asuras in chapter 16 defined, they think that, okay, I'll have so much money right now and I'll do this, I'll get more, I'll enjoy like this, So these are the activities of the Asuras. So the formula is that we have to become detached from the result of the work and must be situated in full knowledge. And that is the conclusion, that whatever we do, as long as we have a desire for fruitive activity, like, our Rupa Goswami defines that Gyan Karmadi Anavrutam, right? Anya Bilasita Sunyam, Gyan Karmadi Anavrutam. Anukulena Krishnanusilam, Bhakti Uttama. So Uttam Bhakti is defined like that. The best Bhakti is there has no tinge of Gyan, knowledge, or any karma. And not only that, the most essential requirement is that Krishnanu Anusilanam. We have to do it according to what Krishna desires. We can see the so many pastimes of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan that naturally they do work according to the Krishna's desire. Gopis, Gopas, parents, the elderly gopis, all these things. So very sweet pastime where everybody is fulfilling or try to satisfy Krishna's desire. All right. We go to the next one now. Nirasiryatra chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha sariram kevalam karma purvan apnoti kilbisham. About 21.
Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions.
Very good. About
A Krishna conscious person does not expect good or bad results in his activity. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled. He knows that because he is part and parcel of the Supreme, the part played by him as a part and parcel of the whole is not his own activity, but is only being done through him by the Supreme. When the hand moves, it does not move out of its own accord, but by the endeavor of the whole body. A Krishna conscious person is always dovetailed with the supreme desire, for he has no desire for personal sense gratification. He moves exactly like a part of a machine. As a machine part requires oiling and cleaning for maintenance, so a Krishna conscious man maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He is therefore immune to all the reactions of his endeavors. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship even over his own body. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animal in his possession, yet the animal does not protest, nor does it have any real independence. A Krishna conscious person, fully engaged in self-realization, has very little time to falsely possess any material object. For maintaining body and soul, he does not require unfair means of accumulating money. He does not therefore become contaminated by such material sin. He is free from all the reactions to his actions. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So, according to this Vedic literature, there are different kind of yajna performed, which will be the next topic probably for next session from 25 and onwards. We will not go into that detail, but the principle is that I have to work simply for maintaining my body and soul together, and may have to commit so many sins, but you have to maintain your body to develop Krishna consciousness. And for that, the Shastra prescribes so many types of yajna, Dravya yajna and that yajna and brahmacharya. So there are, which is the next subject matter from 25 and onwards, we'll be seeing. But basically, the body, is given by Lord, so we have to maintain it, but maintain it according to the instructions given by Scripture. So you don't have to. So consider that the body is given, that is your instrument, and with that instrument, you try to please God, to try to achieve the love of God. Try to do spiritual activity, and that way you will please Him. So that is the mood, then you can really move forward for that. Okay. So we got few more verses that we have to finish. Let's go to the next one, which is 22.
Ila Mataji, you can read that. Ila Mataji, I'm unmuting you.
Yadruchala basantusto द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समः सिद्धौ सिद्धौ च कुत्वापि न निबध्यते. Translation.
Ila Mataji, are you here? Prabhuji,
I'm
Ila
here.
Mataji.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you
please
hear
read it.
me?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay,
you.
sure. Can you pull that up a little bit? So I can read?
You can read the translation.
Oh, the translation. Okay. He who is satisfied with gain, which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions.
Very good. Okay, so I'll try to explain this. Then you can read purport on yourself. The process of life is described in this verse. The Prabhupada make very clear. One should be satisfied with things which comes very easily, not over endeavoring. Now, Rupa Goswami, in Nectar of Instruction, gives the 6 formulas. That atyahara prayasascha प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसंगश्च लोल्यम च सद्भिर भक्ति विनश्यति. So over endeavoring is there mentioned about that thing. So you don't have to over endeavor, and there are some other 5 more activities which will hinder our spiritual progress. And in the next verse, Rupa Goswami gives the another verse in which 6 formulas which can encourage in Krishna consciousness. So you really have to follow that guideline. What is that verse? It is in Nectar of Instruction. Utsahat nischayat dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat sanga tyagat sato vrutte sadbir bhakti prasiddhyati. So everyone is making profit or less according to his past karma, but purva janma arjitam dhanam, one comes to the prison house by his action, criminal activity. It is not that government wants them to live in prison. So we have to understand our work. And if you follow this Rupa Goswami's instruction regarding over endeavoring, and also the 6 items that helps our spiritual progress, which is utsaha, enthusiasm, nischaya, determination, dhairya, patience, and tattat karma. That is how we do the work. And sanga tyagat sato vrutte. We have to abandon the bad association and associate with the sadhu, saintly person, which is very highly recommended according to the scripture to advance in spiritual life. Okay? And many examples can be given. Raghunath Das Goswami, who was staying at Radhakund and eating little buttermilk, and he was actually very rich man's son, but how he lived his life to give us an example that how one can advance in spiritual life. Okay. So let's take the next one. Okay.
Prabhuji,
So
can I finish the purpose?
On the 22, okay, hold on one second.
Yeah, 22.
Okay, hold on one second. Yeah.
Oh, I have it. That's okay. I have the book.
Yeah, go ahead. Here it is.
Okay. Text 22. The purpose. A Krishna conscious person does not make much endeavor even to maintain his body. He is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord. He neither begs nor borrows, but he labors honestly as far as is in his power, and is satisfied with whatever is obtained by his own honest labor. He is therefore independent in his livelihood. He does not allow anyone's service to hamper his own service in Krishna consciousness. However, for the service of the Lord, he can participate. participate in any kind of action without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. The duality of the material world is felt in terms of heat and cold, or misery and happiness. A Krishna conscious person is above duality because he does not hesitate to act in any way for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, he is steady both in success and in failure. These signs are visible when one is fully in transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, Prabhupada's purport is very clear here. Go to the next one. 23. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasah yajnavacharataha karma samagrama praviliyate. Okay, translation.
Kamal Prabhu will read. Kamal Prabhu, you're unmuted.
Yes. Yes. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Purport.
Please read the
Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and read purport. Becoming fully Krishna conscious, one is freed from all dualities and thus is free from the contaminations of the material modes. He can become liberated because he knows his constitutional position in relationship to Krishna, and thus his mind cannot be drawn from Krishna consciousness. Consequently, whatever he does for Krishna, who is the primeval Vishnu. Therefore, all his works are technically sacrifices because sacrifice aims at satisfying the Supreme Person, Vishnu, Krishna. The resultant reactions to all such work certainly merge into transcendence, and one does not suffer material effects. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, very good. Thank you so much. So we see the difficulty in the conditioned state of life is that we are creating our next life by karma. Okay. So it says Gata Sangasya. What is Gata Sangasya? Gata Sangasya means do not associate with the modes of material nature. Okay. They are goodness, passion, and ignorance. Because when we associate with that thing, then we get infected. So if you are actually situated in knowledge, then you can be mukta. And the knowledge is given in Bhagavad Gita, how to control our senses and not get illusion by the three modes of material nature. So knowledge should be taken from a person who is also an advanced than us. So Chanakya Pandit says in his philosophy that Tyaj Durjan Samsagram Bhaj Sadhu Samagamam. So Durjan ka sang छोड़ना चाहिए और साधु का संग करना चाहिए वैसे. Well, you always Durjan, those who are not of good character, not of good conduct, you have to leave them alone and do the sadhu sangha. Don't associate with bad character and don't associate with the four principle of sinful life also, which in ISKCON, Prabhupada has started this movement, giving these four basic sinful activities. It's called also yama. You know, don't do these things, don't do these things. No intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no meat eating, like that, you know. So those are the things one has to stay away from it. Now, Gata Sangasya Muktasya, how we can do so Bhakti Yoga, and the best formula for Bhakti Yoga is given by Sri Prahlad Maharaj. When he was teaching in his classroom mates, he was saying, the very nice, anybody recall that verse that he told regarding bhakti? It's called, it defines Navada Bhakti, ninefold devotional service. It says, Saravanam, Kirtanam, Vaishnav Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Right? So that is the Sravan in which the hearing is most important. I'm just giving you in brief that all these ninefold devotional services is also perfected by some personalities. For example, the Sravaning is perfected by Parikshit Maharaj, hearing is by Sukdev Goswami, remembering is by Prahlad Maharaj, right? Pad Sevanam is Lakshmi, like Archanam is Pruthu Maharaj, Vandanam is Akrur, Dashyam is Hanuman, friendship is Sakhya is Arjun, and then Atmanivedam is Bali Maharaj. So this is the way is defined. So if we follow those Mahajanas, which is we knew from the very first verse also, that any action you do, you follow these advanced devotees or the perfected devotees who are in Krishna consciousness, Mahajanas, the 12 Mahajanas, like that. And that way you will not get the reaction of those actions when you follow them. Okay, so we'll take the last verse now. Yeah. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam Brahmneva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Translation.
A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature.
Very good. It's a little bit long, but let's go ahead and finish anyway.
Okay, Puja. How activities in Krishna consciousness can lead one ultimately to the spiritual goal is described here. There are various activities in Krishna consciousness, and all of them will be described in the following verses. But for the present, just the principle of Krishna consciousness is described. A conditioned soul entangled in material contamination is sure to act in the material atmosphere, and yet he has to get out of such an environment. The process by which the conditioned soul can get out of the material atmosphere is Krishna consciousness. For example, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of the bowels due to overindulgence in milk products is cured by another milk product.
Namely, God.
The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in the Gita. This process is generally known as yajna or activities, sacrifices, simply meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of the material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or for Vishnu only, the more the atmosphere becomes spiritualized by complete absorption. The word Brahma, Brahman, means spiritual. The Lord is spiritual, and the rays of his transcendental body are called Brahma Jyotir, his spiritual effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in that Brahma Jyotir. But when the Jyotir is covered by illusion, Maya, or sense gratification, it is called material. This material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus, the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor and the result are all combined together, Brahman or the absolute truth. The absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter dovetailed for the cause of the absolute truth regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it is said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna or sacrifice for the absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer, or leader of the performance, and the result or the ultimate gain. Everything becomes one in the absolute, the supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness.
Very
Hare
nice. Thank you, Mataji. So actually, here, this verse gives the prescription to attain spiritual salvation and go back to Godhead. How it is that? Brahmarpanam. So sacrifice. For whom? So like for Brahma, Brahma is spiritual, right? Brahman is spiritual. And Krishna is also Supreme Brahman. So the thing that we sacrifice also belongs to Supreme Brahman. So actually, out of best is the chanting of Hare Krishna, is the highest yajna, because Krishna is dancing on your tongue. And so he says to Narad Muni that Naham Tisthami Vaikunthe Yoginam Hridayesu cha Tattat Tisthami Narada Yatra Gayanti Madbhaktaha. Wherever my devotees sing or chant my glories, I stand there and I go there. And if you see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended that there is if you know, there's 4 yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. And each yuga, there is a different process for realization. So in that he says, Krute yad dhyayato Vishnum, Tretayam yajato makaha, Dwapare paricharyayam, Kalau tad hari kirtana. So whatever perfection we trying to get in Satya Yuga is by dhyan, meditation. And in Treta Yuga by sacrifice, the yajna. And Dwapar is paricharya, means the deity worship, And the in the Kali Yuga, Hari Kirtana. So it is important, and that is how we can say that the Hari Nam Kirtan is very much emphasized here. And also you can see that the source for a person, for example, those who are not advanced, they've been given the information regarding, in Bhagavad Gita, there is a 7th chapter where it says, Rasoham Apsi Kaunteya. So they are directed, you can also not be able to understand Supreme, but whenever you drink water, you think that this is I'm tasting this water. So because Krishna says as Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya, means I am that taste of water, like that. And the glorification of name is concerned. Also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is very nicely said that regarding the dancing of the name, when you chant your holy name, okay, what effect? So to that, there is just one verse, and then I will close it here, which says that Tunde Tandavini Ratin Vitanute Tundavali Labdaye Karna Krodha Kadambini Gatayate Karna Budhe Bhyaspruham Chetah Prangana Sangini Vijayate Sarvendriya Nam Krutim No Jane Janita Yatpisa Amrutai Krasneti Varna Dvai. Krishna iti Varna Dvai. The 2 syllables of Krishna. But I do not know how much nectar these 2 syllables have produced. Why? Because when you chant in your mouth, it dance on your tongue. And then you like to have so many mouths, right? Similarly, when you hear the Karna Krod means whole, when you hear this Harinam from the whole of the ear, you would like to have many millions of ears. We have an example of Srimad Bhagavatam, Pruthu Maharaj. He wanted so many millions of ears. But it means it shows his eagerness to hear. And then Chetas Sprangan, so Hridai means the heart, in the when it dances on the courtyard of the heart, then it also purifies the mind. So this is the effect of mind. So this is the out of all sacrifices, the bottom line is that they want to do yagyas, Sankirtan yagya, Nam sacrifice, when you chant holy name, and that is why Prabhupada has given us in ISKCON the very beginning of this ISKCON society is by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Prabhupada chanted this mantra in Tompkins Park in New York, and that is the whole base of this ISKCON movement. You can see that. So we can see Phalena Parichayate, we can see the result of chanting. So with this, I will end here and take any questions or comment you may have. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. I have to rush on it to finish all these verses, but I go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. We're going to take the question answers now.
Yeah.
Okay, dear devotees, if you have any question, please raise your hand. Arjun Mitra Prabhuji from Pearl Grand Richmond, please ask your question, Prabhu. We're gonna unmute you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, actually, I don't have any question. I just want to say that you have explained very nicely each and every verses, and especially the action, what is the forbidden action and what is inaction. You have explained very nicely. One more thing I would like to say here, that I know one new thing today, that is about the Dhritarashtra Kamik Bandhan. It is the result of the Dhritarashtra Kamik Bandhan that he lose his 100 sons in the Kurukshetra battlefield, right? So there is, and one more thing you have explained very nicely, the Varnashram arrangement. That is what we are thinking. The Varnashram arrangement is nothing like that, but it is not as per the birth, but it is as per the karma what you are doing. So
yes,
thank you, Prabhuji, for everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Arjun Mitra Prabhu. If anybody has any question, please raise your hand and we will unmute you if any devotees have any question. Marsana Mataji, Jaya Mataji, anybody has a question? Amit Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
so yeah, Prabhuji, as Arjun Mitra Prabhu said that it was like you are explained very deeply and very solely, so we are able to understand completely. But the thing which we are able to understand you, that one is that Dhritarashtra pastime. So why he is lose his 100 sons in the Mahabharata. So this is a very new thing which I heard today. And yeah, the difference between akarma, vikarma, and karma, that is like we heard earlier also, but yeah, this is very you explained it very nicely today again, and it will be a great beneficial for us. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Bol.
Thank you, Amit Prabhu. Anybody else has questions? Anyone else has questions regarding today's class? It was very beneficial class. If no one has questions, Amit Prabhu, I will ask you to kindly say some kind words in the end, glorifying Harilala Prabhu. Amit Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you for your association and letting us know about the verses today, which you assigned, and it was a great means you can say that great knowledgeable class, and we are expecting and we are requesting you to come frequently in the Partsarthi Foundation to give the nectar of Bhagavad Gita as it is to us, so that we can increase our knowledge. It will increase our knowledge in the path of the bhakti and Srila Prabhupada's mission. So thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much,
Please.
Prabhu जी. पार्थसारथी फाउंडेशन में प्रभु जी आते रहिएगा, हमें आप अपना एसोसिएशन देते रहिएगा. And thank you so much, Prabhu, for today's class. It was wonderful. We learned so many things, not just about the caste system, the Varnashram, about the Dhritarashtra's, past birth, but in general, how a devotee should act, what are the characteristics of a devotee, and how they only want Krishna's mercy and nothing else. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj ki jai. His Grace Harilala Prabhu ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you all devotees listening. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
Vaishnavi